This is Jordan Tower with JT News, and we got some more classic hip-hop stories. Cameron tells some untold stories lately in an interview, and he goes into a lot of things that we just didn't know about. I mean, I love these untold hip-hop stories. It gives us an inside look into things back in the day. We didn't have social media, and we didn't have all these things reporting on all the insides and outs of the music industry back then like we do today. So these things were always left a mystery, and it's good to get some insight on these things. So Cameron recently, the first thing he went into was like how he got in the game. We all know Mace and a guy that passed named Bloodshed, and they were like a clique back in the day. But eventually Mace got signed to Bad Boy, and he met a guy named Kuda Love.
Me, Mace, and Bloodshed was a group. Mace ended up meeting Kuda Love, and Mace branched off from the group, from Cameron and Bloodshed, because he messed with Kuda, and Kuda had a relationship with Bad Boy, used to road manage Biggie, etc. So he taught Mace how to bounce and do different shit. So when Mace ended up getting his deal with Bad Boy, my cousin Bloodshed died. He like, Biggie looking for artists, you know what I'm saying? He's sick of the artists he got, they don't want to write, do nothing. So he took me up to Big's house, and that was my audition. Every beat he put on, I rap for about 20 minutes on 5, 6, 7 different beats. Like, yo, it's done. What you want? I want 300,000. I want this, that, and third. Mace was like, yo.
Mace introduced Cameron to Biggie because Biggie eventually was looking for artists to be signed to his label, because the artists he had weren't really motivated in writing a lot and putting material out. They were kind of just like living off of the fame of Big. So Big was looking for new artists, and he auditioned for Biggie, he said, and he got a deal. But then Big passed, so the person who carried the torch was from Untold, and, you know, the rest is history. You know, he was on Epic. He would drop his first album, and he talks about that whole time.
I didn't mind getting jerk paws. I just want my record on the radio. I don't care, take my publisher. I don't know what that is anyway. Just take my shit so I can have a video and songs on the radio. I'll figure it out later. The next album I'm like, damn, these checks ain't like the checks that I'm used to niggas seeing. I'm not being able to get 4 and 5 cars or jewelry or things that I want to get. So I'm like, let me figure out what's the loophole.
And he also goes into Jay-Z stories, because, as you know, Rivera and Jay-Z had an issue back in the day. Jay-Z attacked and it was supposedly over this guy leaking Jay-Z's music. But Cameron shed the real light on that story, and before you guys say it's snitching, that the statute of limitations are way, 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 way over on that whole thing, and it was already settled in court.
This was all over Charlie Baltimore. It's just a lot where, you know, Jay liked Charlie, and that was Big Girl, and felt that Un was just feeling that was the artist, and Jay was teaching her the business. It was just it was all Un and Jay shit. They could say a song leaked or whatever, but it was all with Charlie Baltimore.
So basically, Cam shed some light on that. Like, that wasn't even over, you know, the pirating of Jay-Z's music. It was actually over Charlie Baltimore, because Jay-Z liked Charlie Baltimore, and Un had a thing with her. And, you know, Charlie Baltimore used to be one of Biggie's girls before he passed, and Jay-Z always liked her, and that was over a girl. And it's funny how, like, girls are really the root of a lot of problems, period, with guys. You know, like, it's usually deeper than the issue they report. It's usually about a girl or something like that, or pride. Then he shed some light on Kanye, because, as we all know, Kanye was a producer before he was a rapper, and he got on through selling his beats and really got on through Rockefeller. And Kanye used to try to spit and impress Jay all the time, because everybody used to try to impress Jay-Z. Jay-Z was the man, still is the man, but he was really the man back then. And Cameron says, hey, I was mad at Kanye back then because he would sell me beats, but then he would give the beats to Jay-Z.
Kanye gave me the H to the Izzo beat. That was my beat. This on the radio 2 weeks later. I'm like, this dude here, man.
The H to the Izzo beat was my beat, and I bought it, and he gave it to Jay-Z. And he also shed light on, like, he would be in studio with Jay in the beginning, and Kanye would be spitting, and he in the back of his head would be like, oh, this guy's saying some shit, but Jay-Z would just, like, totally ignore him. You know, just make beats, man. He would ignore him, get on his two-way. Everyone had two-ways back then. And just ignore him. And the real person that believed in Kanye was Damon Dash. Damon Dash said, oh, you could be on some backpack and shit. We're going to sign you to The Rock, and we're going to give you a chance. And Damon Dash is the one who really gave Kanye a chance.
He was like, I remember being in the studio rapping for Jay and Cam or some shit. And Jay was just really ignoring this nigga. And I'm listening. I'm like, this nigga's kind of spitting a little bit.
Then he also goes into the whole Paid in Full, because we know Cameron killed the Paid in Full movie, and a lot of people assume that he looked up to Alpo and knew Alpo, AZ, and them, and Rich Porter from Living in Harlem. But
I did the part, and I don't know Alpo. Them niggas is older than me. I don't know. I never met before Rich Porter died. AZ, I met him a few times because he's just around.
You know, people fail to realize Cameron was only like 10, 14 when those guys were booming, controlling the drug game in the 80s. So, you know, you might hear stories about it, but he wasn't really influenced by that. You know, there was a lot of drug dealers in Harlem, you know, so like, yeah, you're influenced by drug dealing, period, but Cameron was known to be a baller, you know, like a basketball player. That's how him and Mace were cool, from playing ball. You know, Cameron actually went to college playing ball. But he said, no, I didn't. Alpo wasn't my idol. As we know, Alpo was a snitch anyways. So he said Alpo wasn't my idol, and Rich Porter died back then, you know, so like I was too young to even know. And the only reason I knew AZ is because AZ was still around in Harlem back in the day, but he was too young to be like influenced by all that. But living in Harlem, you hear about these legends, you know, in the story, so he knew the story, so he knew he had to kill that part for Harlem, otherwise he would have been, you know, teased for that. Because like, come on, man, you know, you from Harlem, you know these stories, you should be able to kill this part. Anyways, this was just cool to like get some insight on these, you know, hip-hop legendary stories, you know, like I always love hearing these tales told from these rappers. Hopefully Jay-Z shed some light on some classic stories from back in the day, and you know, Damon Dash touches on that stuff from time to time. Oh, he also touched on one cool thing, how he became part of Rockefeller. He said that him and Dame weren't even cool when he was at Epic. They had a problem, but when he had a problem at Epic, he humbled himself and wasn't ashamed to go to Dame and say, hey, I know we have a problem, but you know, I need your help. And Dame was a man enough to be like, yo, fuck that problem we got. What's your problem at Epic? And Dame and Dash helped him get out of his deal at Epic. And because of that, Cameron signed to Rockefeller. And that's how that whole thing worked out. So never have too much pride to ask for help. That's a lesson we can learn from that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as me. This is Jordan Tower with JT News, reporting as much news as possible daily.